Soldier, keep on marching on.
One of the things that we adopt specifically is that we don't go anywhere and complain about what's happening to us. That's not what we do. If there's something happening to us, we do something about it. So we come to the UN seeing what we can do to support the things that we've been doing about what happened to us. And because that's the position that the FANA nations have taken, we're taken a lot more seriously and given a lot more legitimacy.
In one of the busiest cities in the world, between iconic buildings and hot dog stands, sits the headquarters of an international organisation with one mission: world peace. I'm talking, of course, about the United Nations, or the UN for short. You've probably heard of it before.
Soldier, keep on marching on.
Yeah, we here, UN. FANA's in the building.
Head in the dust, feet in the fire. Labor on that midnight wire. Listening for that angel choir. You got nowhere to run. Wanna take a drink of that promised land.
The UN first became a thing in 1945, just after the Second World War. The big Allied Four wanted to prevent another huge war from ever happening again, so they formed a new organisation designed to do just that.
San Francisco, California, a momentous conference begins. Here, leaders of the United Nations, representing all but a fraction of the Earth's population, are laying the foundations of international security in the post-war world.
On the 25th of April 1945, 850 representatives from 50 countries met in what was, at the time, the largest international gathering ever. The end result was this: the United Nations Charter. It's a legally binding contract between all the countries involved and includes all the things the UN wants to achieve, like getting rid of poverty and disease, providing food and aid to those who need it, improving health services, disaster relief, protecting human rights, and making sure countries follow international laws.
First to sign is China.
On the 24th of July 1945, after a bunch of revisions, it was agreed upon and signed by all the countries involved. And a couple of months later, on the 24th of October, it came into force, the date we now mark as the UN's birthday.
1, 2, 3.
I was trying to say thank you, survivors, and I said spank you.
Oh.
It was really awkward.
I imagine that livened up the meeting.
First, no laughing. I'm like, that's good though. We needed comic relief.
You have cards? Card?
We do.
Are we making our way to building 4?
I still gotta find building 4. Hold on.
Where do we
Watch this. Here, that way you can look stupid.
Okay.
The guy that
All right.
Where is he going? Why is he walking?
We're trying to find building 4. Yeah, so we're here at the Permanent Forum on Indigenous Issues at the United Nations. As you can see, we're here in traditional names. Got in with the tribal IDs and FANA IDs. We'll be here for a few days, and it's just a number of different forums and sessions, but it's really just tremendous networking opportunity. You see, we're meeting some of the Métis family. We met some family from the Haudenosaunee as well. Just a great opportunity to be networking and meeting other nations internationally. So, yeah, excited to be here, and much appreciation, katapatus to everyone that's tuning in and supporting the work that the Federation is doing. I hope.
We need to grant water human personification.
Why does Coca-Cola have human personification and not water? Not a river. Yeah, it's absurd.
We all should go to New Zealand, go learn from the Maori about how they were able to do that.
I know just the king to take you to down there.
They did.
Yeah.
I didn't know they did that.
Yeah. So it was like a 30-year lawsuit. I remember which one, and it was led by the Maori.
Gotta wipe the dirt off of your Well, son, you got dreamers' plans, but it gets hard to stand. Soldier, keep on marching on. Head down till the work is done. Waiting on that morning sun. Soldier, keep on marching on. Quiet night, gonna wake the beast. Hide your soul out of his reach. Shiver to that broken beat. Dark into the heat. Oh, oh.
What's happening really right now with U.S., Canada, and Australia, there's so much energy and momentum happening, but also these are the languages that are perhaps the most impacted by colonialism. You know, it's no coincidence that the former British colonial system had the most impact on languages. It was perhaps the most destructive of all of the formats and types of colonialism, in part because it created separation and otherness and left no room for integration and cooperation. And the result of that is these languages here are in the most difficult situation, where the average speaker is 75. We work with languages where the last speaker is passed on, you know, from the languages we work with. And that's a very emotional, very difficult process for a community to get over. But you know, there's so many languages that would like to see their language in books and in apps and so much. You know, we're looking at over 6,000 languages that need this type of work moving forward, and so we're very again anxious to continue assisting and doing this kind of work. But there's we're really right now at the forefront of a wave of almost extinctions in the U.S., Canada, and Australia, and we want to make sure that we are able to handle these situations and these the linguistic challenges and all of that, and just end up being able to serve communities better in the years ahead.
And then I run a company outside of the work I do with the tribe called the Providence Cultural Equity Initiative, which is all around cultural equity, cultural development. And my chief creative officer is actually living in Boston right now. So if you're right in Cambridge, I'd love to just pop up there, maybe.
Well, most of us are working remote.
Absolutely. Well, Zoom or however, I just love to connect, to learn more. And like I said, I've just been a fan of you all for a while.
We've also, we wanted to make better ties with local tribes for sure. We know lots of folks that are American.
Yes.
But it's an individual thing.
Yes.
So,
I'll share. There are 5 Narragansett tribes right now. Only one of them is federally recognized.
Yes,
so
that I know. Well, I know there's issues with all them.
Yeah, I when it comes to the cultural stuff, I try to stay out of the politics of it because there's enough fighting. But the people are the people and the culture is the culture. So.
You got me on that? Over here?
So my goddaughter right now, she's a sophomore or a junior at URI, and she's always reaching out, asking for language. And so we just came out of a fantastic workshop around language revitalization. What was really cool is they've actually created a Lakota dictionary, like a real deal dictionary. And so many of us speak different dialects of the quote-unquote Algonquian languages that we're interested in how we can do those same things. So I think that this is the importance of attending functions like this, other than taking pictures and all of that sort of stuff. It's the networking and it's the obtaining knowledge on resources and supports that we can take to better our people. And that's why we keep encouraging everyone, you know, get with your nation. We're at the United Nations because we got with our nations and they respect nations. And now we're able to connect with people who are leading language revitalization projects, who are interested, excited, and supported about what we're trying to do with our languages. So, yeah, man, it's a place to be.
Today, the United Nations consists of 193 countries and has accomplished a lot of the things it first set out to do.
Go to the information desk and ask.
FANA is an NGO and the tribes is IPOs connected to FANA. Raina said, because we got 9 member nations, if everyone brought 10, that would be 90 from the tribes plus 10 from FANA.
And then we would, hold on, we'll switch this over here,
yes,
right? I put this back up and we get 15 for being the eco-sock holder. That's how you, and you know how you speak from the floor? The amount of people you represent moves you up the list, and we get our time up there like Denmark did yesterday.
That's how it works. Because I was wondering, I have notes, I was like, how did we
and
get involved in the council itself?
Well, here's the
How do you
thing.
guys get nominated for permanent seats?
And this is why I'm glad, because we're still coming out of this victim mentality. Oh, they're not letting us in because, oh, we showed up with 12 people. There's people here with 300 people. But we want to speak before them because, you know, we got... Exactly. Exactly.
Gotta show them.
Exactly.
Well, that's what I was trying to do.
Yeah, you know what?
Over at the UN, the Indigenous Forum.
Thank you. Yeah! And they're so upright.
Mine's in the spin.
Soldier, keep on marching on. Head down till the work is done. Waiting on that morning sun. Soldier, keep on marching on. Head in the dust, feet in the fire. Labor on that midnight wire.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
You have to,
I did trade for my dad one time at Kennedy Plaza, like before COVID.
Oh, he did the art.
Yeah.
We're so smart.
So I'm walking up to the UN to get my credentials. Like, I know that guy.
Yeah, man, we're all up
but
in
I know
here,
him from
brother.
Rhode Island. I'm like,
Rhode Island.
it's gonna be the wrong guy, and I'm like, no, it is. This guy just said, well, then you said from the Narragansett.
Yes.
Oh, good.
Very good, very good. How did you see you here again, brother? We should definitely stay in touch tonight. I mean, you ready to see?
Yeah, I know.
We just did an Arato, the Taino family, we hosted an Arato forum at our land.
I saw it on Facebook.
Yeah, you gotta come through, man.
And I was like, I didn't know.
27th, we're doing our planting moon social and a naming ceremony.
Were you on there? Like, is that, I can't remember who posted it.
That was Turtlegang, Tapi 101.
Oh, yeah, it's Taino.
Yeah. He's actually here.
Is he?
Yeah, he's up here with us. So we're all out here. But yeah, definitely come through and check us out if you're in the area, man. That's what we're doing it for.
Where I find it on his Facebook?
You can find it on his. If you also look up our tribe, Mashapark Narragansett tribe, we'll post it on there as well. But Raymond L. Watson, shoot me a message or Two Hawks Says on IG.
All right, I will.
Yeah, man.
Are you guys going in?
Yeah, we just came out to say hi to our friend, and then we're gonna go out.
not participating in this one. But
Okay.
like,
I'm gonna go and get my thing.
All right, very good.
The badge.
Very good. Yeah, take the street there on the
It's
left.
They said, huh?
Yeah, up
Thank you.
there on the left, you'll see it right there. And they're like if they they're super not helpful.
Yeah, not helpful.
They're super not helpful. I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know. So you don't. Oh no, I do know what that is. Okay, hold on.
Ray, you're too tall, Ray!
So, one thing I'd like to mention is that, as I, been in college, I did several research papers on colonization, and this is a continuation, putting our men in prison, our women are being murdered, or children are being taken to DSS or whatever, adopted out. And there's money in that. I live in South Dakota, and they pay foster parents extra money, like a special needs child. So our fight is all about this whole circle of our life and our people. And one thing I can say about Leonard's case, that it's so gross, the misconduct that has happened, but we as Native people, we feel this every day, the inequities and the racism, Right in South Dakota, with the monument everybody talks about, Mount Rushmore. That was built by a white supremacist, and it's worshipped to this day. So, that's what kind of climate we live in. I live in Rapid City. We call it racist city, okay? We have institutionalized racism at all levels. I mean, you hardly ever see Native people in any type of positions beyond, cooks or janitors. So we're really still fighting. We have a lot of people that have come up through the movements. We have several organizations. And I'd just like to thank the Wombly Ska Society. We brought some representatives right here, Tara and her daughter, Kaylee, and they're coming up, so we want to include our youth, and they represent AIM Grassroots as a diplomat. So one of the things that I'd like to also talk about is the way the government has always attacked our people. And they don't care. When Wounded Knee 1890 came, mostly women and children and elders. And the same thing on June 26th in Oglala, Grandma Jumping Bull, that was her house. And it's not like they didn't know, because we had found evidence that we've been under surveillance during that time. They probably used a different word. They came in and attacked our camp. This was proven when Leonard's co-defendants, Bob Robidoux and Dino Butler, were acquitted on the basis of self-defense. So we're all thinking, okay, so Leonard should come back. He was on the run then, and he should be acquitted too. You would think that the whole same thing, but no. This is where it started, by them using him as a scapegoat. They went to Canada, and ever since this began, they started lying. They went to the Canadian people, or the courts, because that's where Leonard was at for an extradition hearing, and they abused a woman by the name of Myrtle Poorbear, and she did 3 affidavits after they threatened her, that her life would end up like anime Agposh. Those are the words that they used against her. So abusing women, and it's just like from day number 1. Whenever we found out, when her affidavits were taken to the Canadian court, we're like, who's Myrtle? Everybody at the Jumping Bull, nobody knew her, she didn't know us, she didn't know Leonard, but she was his girlfriend in this paperwork, and that's how he was brought back from Canada. Straight up lies. The lies continue to date, everything about why he's sitting in there. I mean, there's been so many different changes, and I think Judge Sharp covers that legal part better, but it's just ironic that it can continue for 47 years. Where's the justice? I think that by now, he should be in a world court. I mean, why are these crimes still being committed against our people? And he's just one example, because in South Dakota, 75% or more of the men's prison are Native people, Lakota Nation. Same with the women. Those numbers are way too high. So, you know, and we're less than 15% at the most of the population. Why are we still suffering? So I'm just hoping that everybody here that, you know, is part of an organization can just say free Peltier. What does that mean? That's a powerful word right there. And it's beyond him, it's about our people. It's about the continued genocide. And when you stand up for your human rights, like he did, and everybody else in the American Indian movement had already, you know, that's what we do. You know, we see something wrong, we try to address it in a positive way. So I just hoping that when you do your intervention. Oh, intervention. That you would just end it with free Peltier, or you know, put it on your you know, your hat, your jacket, whatever. You know, we have some bumper stickers there. You're welcome to have one. And I have some brochures from the International Letter Peltier Defense Committee, and we've been in existence since this started. We've had several times when we were taken advantage of by the government. They took over a committee at different points in the past 47 years, and there's been attempts to date. So, you know, we're just like a target, you know, by our words. What are we saying? Nothing but the truth, you know, and all they do is lie. When they tell you that, you know, well, let me see, one more thing I'd like to mention is the recent report that came out by the United Nations Working Group on arbitrary detention. And that's a powerful document, but it took a long time to come out because we have so many, not only in South Dakota, but other tribes that are just in there just because of the color of their skin or their beliefs. You know, so every prisoner that's in federal prison, you know, they still should be treated as humans and have basic rights, you know, human rights. So when you see somebody in there and you just, you know, you need to find out what the truth is and why they're there, because a lot of times they just didn't have the right legal help, they're in the wrong state, they're in the wrong city, and a lot of them have mandatory sentencing, you know, from the reservations, you know. And that's really sad because there's a lot of different circumstances that should be talked about when they're sentenced. And I think that's kind of where I'll let Judge Sharp continue his part, but I'd just like to thank everybody for taking a moment and coming here, and we really appreciate each one of you. You know, thank you.
Leonard Peltier is in prison because he represents all of us indigenous people. Bottom line, but that's why he's got to be there. And you know for a fact that my work that I'm doing, my name is Masatsin. We have the International Council of First Nations, and my work is after the Court of Borgia. Okay, that's in the Vatican Library, because that's the prime example of the doctrine of discovery. In other words, that's a prime example of what they did. They burned all the sacred books, and that was life. And that's why they still have it in the Vatican Library, because they got our spirituality locked up, okay? And we need to fight for that. So I think that we put it together, like you said, Mexico, you know, Europe, you know, all the what we call Abya-Yala, right? You know, Anahuac, the Wantinsuyo, the whole continent, you know, in this stage, and you're right. And we don't gotta wait for later. We gotta do it now. So the other thing that we did one time, we called kids in cages. You might have heard of that, right? When they had the kids in cages. Well, guess what? From kids in cages, that's why they have Leonard in cage, okay? In other words, the Pope is the person who can, okay? Now, but it's not a question of religion, nothing like that. But the doctrine of discovery is based on those bullets, on those papal bulls, okay? From 1452 particularly, all right? So we have to fight it, and we've been fighting the doctrine of discovery for 30 years. We get nowhere, but guess what? We're coming at it because they're in violation of the Declaration of the Rights of Indigenous People, because they have stolen property in the Vatican Library. Okay, and on the things that we ask the Pope to consider is that the Holy See is in violation, right? And that we have is also we call for the liberation of Leonard Peltier. But like you said, as the first person that we're going to liberate from the prison, okay? We want to liberate all the older people, like myself, you know, all the older people that are there, that are no harm to nobody else, but themselves either, you know. In other words, he's got to be the first movement. So we're making a movement of liberating all the people out.
And by the way, the American Indian movement began 1492. When the first Taino Indio in the Caribbean area was killed, that's when the American Indian movement began. We helped officiate it in 1968, for the record, for you to know.
Soldier, keep on marching on. Head down till the work is done. Waiting on that morning sun. Soldier, keep on marching on. Head in the dust, feet in the fire. Labor on that midnight wire. Listening for that angel choir. You got nowhere to run. You wanna take a drink of that promised land. Gotta wipe the dirt off of your hands. Careful son, you got dreamers' plans, but it gets hard to stand. Soldier, keep on marching on. Head down till the work is done. Waiting on that morning sun. Soldier, keep on marching on. Quiet night, gonna wake the beast. Hide your soul out of his reach. Shiver to that broken beat. Dark into the heat. Oh, 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 oh.
So we basically been here at the United Nations Permanent Forum on Indigenous Issues. It's an annual event that they have. It gives an opportunity for Indigenous nations from around the globe to come together, to network, to address different issues they're facing, to really interact with the United Nations and the different resources and arms that are there. So we came up, the Federation, just to make our presence known since we reconstituted a number of months ago, and just to do some networking and building. One of the things that we adopt specifically is that we don't go anywhere and complain about what's happening to us. That's not what we do. If there's something happening to us, we do something about it. So we come to the UN seeing what we can do to support the things that we've been doing about what happened to us. And because that's the position that the FANA nations have taken, we're taken a lot more seriously and given a lot more legitimacy. So just some of the specific things that were really interesting this week. You know, we had the opportunity to attend events, one dealing with a linguistics institution that deals with indigenous languages. So we talked to them about our revitalization efforts. We met with representatives from federal agencies that were interested in supporting and working with us. We met with individuals from foreign governments that were interested in working with us. It's really just a great space for nations that are sovereign to come and meet each other and meet people that you're not gonna just meet. Like you're not just bumping into people from the EPA somewhere. But they're here because they're looking to engage with indigenous nations.
Well, it's an opportunity to network between independent nations and entities that represent the interests for those independent parties that are looking to finance developments for their infrastructure or their media efforts or retainment and preservation of their language, you know, issues that affect indigenous populations who are trying to retain their identity and their culture through colonization and through development and the way that technological development affects those indigenous, you know, societies. So it's been an opportunity to network. It's been an opportunity to build connections towards retaining our sovereignty in spite of the extra incursions on sovereignty that have to do with technology, and that this affects, you know, normal everyday individuals, but affects cultures and tribes in different ways because it leads to the erosion of language and the erosion of their self-determination. So that's what this is about, and what it's been about for myself, making connections towards building the kind of structure for ourselves that will preserve our and create our infrastructure, but an infrastructure that will allow us to retain our identities and build forward towards more self-sustainability, remedy, redress, repatriation, and retainment of our identities and our language. So, you know, it's not the kind of thing that everyone can look at from the outside and see where the benefit lies. But if you understand culture and how societies evolve and retain their own identities, then you can understand what is being done here with these indigenous nations and their ventures, you know, their books. So that's what we're talking about. We're talking about recording our information, writing our books, retaining and preserving our language, and developing new ways forward to use our ancestral technology to be preserved through modern technology. So this is like the kind of stuff that we talk about in 10, 20, 50, 100 year increments. We break it up in steps and pieces by the things that we do today at these kinds of gatherings and these institutions and mechanisms. We build for the next 100 years. So it won't easily be interpreted always by, you know, laymen and folks that aren't necessarily in those arenas. But what happens from now is determined at these kinds of events for the future, for the next few years. So that's what we're doing. We planning in increments of years and developing our plans, thinking forward on how to develop our self-sustainability and build, you know, remedy for the wrongs, redress for the situations that have happened, and repatriation for our lands and artifacts. You know, so it's a big picture thing.
And my work is after the Codex Borgia, okay? That's in the Vatican Library, because that's the prime example of the doctrine of discovery. In other words, that's a prime example of what they did. They burned all the sacred books, and that was life. And that's why they still have it in the Vatican Library.
Yeah. Tawa, Tagway, Tareiku, Taikaraya.
So many names, huh? They scared cause we don't look the same, huh? I tell them to stay in their lane, huh? We too busy doing our thing, huh? but they call us so many names. They call us Negro and colored and black and mulatto and so many others. Tell us this land was discovered, but we was born here and this land is our mother. When it come to the woodlands, we run it. We've been chasing these buzzers for honest. They don't call us grandfather for nothing, if I'm just being totally honest.